Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world? You know who it is. It's your boy Zuby. This is my first time doing a live stream like this. So if you're in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me all right. This is all brand new right now. So I'm still working this out. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna make sure this is more slick. I'm gonna be taking questions. If you want to ask a question, just ask a question in the chat. You can @ me at Zuby if you want to make sure that I see it. No obligation to make a super chat, but if you would like to support and you wanted to drop a super chat, then of course you are welcome to drop a super chat. It's always appreciated. You guys know I'm independent. I am funded by my fans. I'm funded by the people who support me, by what I do, the people who, buy the merch, the music, the podcasts, everything I do. That's how it all happens. So firstly, I want to say a massive thank you for joining. What's up? I'm going to give a couple shout outs to people who I'm seeing here. So I want to give a shout out to Veronica. I want to give a shout out to Opus, Tango, Edmundo, Robert, Manga Artist, No Name. Who else we got here? Randy, SD, Manga Artist, Doc, P-Man, Bites and Scrolls. Yo, Charles, L, how you guys all doing? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I hope you guys are all blessed. Yo, what's up, Nicole? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, what am I going to talk about today? This is, like I said, this is my very first time doing a live stream. It's all new. It's all new. But I'm going to get good at this. So, okay, what I'm going to do is, firstly, if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. What I'm going to do is, as people are joining, I'm going to start out with doing a Q&A, and then I'm going to just share some of my thoughts. I want to talk a little bit about the whole is the coronavirus still going on? I want to talk about the coronavirus a little bit. I just want to talk about the whole pandemic situation. I titled this I think the world's gone crazy, and I think yeah, stuff is going nuts. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say that the world is going crazy. We've got this pandemic going on. We've got demonstrations, protests. Everything is getting canceled. It's crazy. We've got like all these mass delusions going on, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit more. So I want to talk a little bit about the coronavirus. I want to talk about the, not too much about George Floyd, but I guess like the aftermath of it and just where we are right now as a society and what I think we need to do. And then I want to talk a little bit about cancel culture. I was talking with my parents about this over the weekend, just everything getting canceled. So I want to share some thoughts on that as well. So like I said, if you want to ask a question, drop it in the chat. I'm going to do my best to get to them. So I'm going to have a quick look over here and see if there are any questions which need an answer right now. If you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask it. Let me just have a little look right here. Someone was just saying he was just listening to my podcast with Michaela. That's I've got a new podcast out with Michaela Peterson. That's Jordan Peterson's daughter, and I appeared on her podcast. It was a really fun conversation, good episode. She's good people's. So make sure you check that out on YouTube later on. All right, we got 150 people watching live. That's not bad at all for a very first one. So I'm gonna just have a quick look here. Okay, first question is from Susan. What's up, Susan? The question is, what makes you so positive? Man, it's a good question. I think I'm a naturally optimistic person. I'm a naturally optimistic person. And then also, a lot of it comes from the way that I view things. I tend to see, like stuff is crazy. There's always stuff to complain about in the world. Always things to complain about. But I think it's a lot more productive and it's a lot more helpful and it's certainly a lot more inspiring for other people to focus more on the positive. I mean, look at the times we're living in now. I mean, it's crazy. We're living in the dumbest time, but we're also living in the most amazing time. Like, look at what we're doing right now. Look at this. I'm doing a live stream. I'm just sitting here right now in my living room, and I am communicating live with over 100 people around the world. Like, this is magic. In real time, you can see me, you can hear me, you can ask me questions. This is crazy, right? We live in a time where you've got 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are making 6-figure, 7-figure incomes by playing video games, by recording videos in their bedrooms, by doing makeup tutorials, dance videos. I mean, no one's going to tell me that we don't live in a fantastic time. We're pretty much in, if our ancestors could see where we are now, they would think they died and gone to heaven, despite all the stupidity we're going through. So despite the foolishness, it's imperative, it's important to maintain a positive mindset. And also, I've got a lot of gratitude. I've got a wonderful family. I've got great friends. I do what I love for a living, and I have done for several years. I've got you guys, my fans, my supporters, people who like me, appreciate me all over the world. How can I not be positive? Maybe that's a better question. How could I not be positive? For me not to be positive, I would have to be a very ungrateful individual. And I'm a grateful individual. So there we go. All right, I'm going to see what other questions we got here. Someone asked me what's Saudi Arabia like? Man, that's a big question. I have done a podcast with someone from Saudi Arabia, a guy named Knife Harby. He's a national, so we spoke a little bit about what life is like in Saudi Arabia right now. But in short, I loved it. People don't like me saying that I enjoyed growing up in Saudi Arabia, but I had a great time there. I went to school there, had wonderful friends. It was very, very safe. The community that I lived in, really hot, like really, really hot. So it got to like about 50 degrees centigrade, which is 120 degrees Fahrenheit plus. Like it got really, really hot, super dry climate. But where I lived was primarily an expat community. People from all over the world, very multicultural, diverse in the true sense of the word. Lots of great amenities, things like that. And when you venture out into real Saudi, yeah, it's different. It's different. The whole society is based on different principles and values. Obviously, it's one of the most Islamic countries in the world. So not just women cover up, men cover up too. Like it's not you can't be out in Saudi Arabia wearing your short shorts or your wife beaters or anything like that if you're out in public. Also, men when I lived there anyway, men couldn't sort of have visible jewelry out. So there are little laws and things that are different. There's also little things different like the weekend. The weekend is on Thursday and Friday rather than Saturday and Sunday. So that's a big difference. But overall, it's a cool place. And if you get a chance to visit, I do recommend visiting because they now offer tourist visas. I haven't been back for 10 years, but I would love to go back on a tourist visa and see what's happening in Saudi Arabia right now. Oh, wow. Someone's just dropped a super chat. Sandra, thank you so much for the super chat, Sandra. $50. That's awesome. I appreciate that. She's written, glad to get a pep talk from you during what feels like hopeless moments at this time. Thank you. Grateful for your voice. Thank you very much, Sandra. That's really kind and generous of you. I appreciate it. If anyone wants to drop a super chat, of course, it's always appreciated. I'm going to get to a few more questions here. Let's see what we got right here. Okay, man, it's a little bit tricky to manage this, actually. There's so many things going on here. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to jump right to this one. Someone asked, if you can interview one president, past or present, who would it be and what one question would you ask? Man, I would love to interview Trump. I'd love to interview Obama as well, to be honest with you. But just given where things are right now and the fact that he's the current president, I'd love to have a conversation with Trump. I'd love to get him on my podcast and, not just softball him either, but ask some tough questions. I think right now, I'm more sympathetic to Trump than a lot of people are. But I think right now he's got a great opportunity to step in and really be presidential. He sort of had this window open for the past few months because there is all this chaos going on, starting out with a pandemic and now with the demonstrations and the protests and the rioting and the looting. And I think he's made some good decisions and put out some good statements. But at the same time, now's not the time to be shouting at Joe Biden on Twitter or talking about how you walk down a ramp carefully because you don't want to slip. All that sort of irrelevant, random stuff. Like I think now would be a good time to drop it and just be a leader and be presidential and take the wind out of the sails of anyone who seeks to criticize him. And we know that there's a lot, but I think one of the biggest downfalls of Trump is he always fights fire with fire. And sometimes you need to fight fire with water. So if I could give him some advice, that's what I would say. Try to bring the temperature down rather than constantly raising it up. But we'll see what transpires. Maybe he'll hear that through the ether somehow. Someone has just dropped another super chat. We got a $5 super chat from Cece. Thank you very much. There's no question here, but the message is too much negativity in the world. People can't see outside their party lines. Sending good vibes to you. Thank you very much, Cece. I appreciate that. That is very, very kind of you. We've got over 200 people tuning in. Wow, this is cool. I don't know why it's taken me this long to do live streams, but this is awesome. Okay. I'm going to go through a couple more questions, and then I'm going to share some of my thoughts, starting with the coronavirus stuff, I guess. Would you ever consider getting into UK politics? I put something out about this the other day. I said, right now, no, but in the future, if the world needs me, if I feel like a moral compulsion to do it, and I genuinely want to do it, right now there are other things that I want to do, so it's not a priority right now. But I don't discount it totally for the future. UK politics, US politics, who knows where we'll end up. Someone asked me if I have a sibling. Yes, I have 4 of them, in fact. 4 siblings, 9 nieces and nephews. Big family. Tom asked, "Is Britain getting cancelled?" I hope Britain doesn't get cancelled. I kind of like Britain. Someone's asking if I can speak about victimhood mentality. Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. Someone's asking, what is cancel culture? Okay, these are things that I can address later on. I'm gonna plan to anyway. This is an interesting question, though. Do you think the U.S. can survive as one nation due to the increasing value divides between the red and blue states? Wow. I kind of want to answer that one later, but I'll address that right now. And I think the answer is yes. But as I was saying earlier, the temperature needs to come down, and people need to go up a level and remember what their common values are. If you're going to have a nation, you're going to have a country held together, then it needs to be held together by something. It's fine for people to have their differences and their individuality and opinions and free speech and all that. That's what makes America wonderful. But at the same time, people need to be able to agree on that. People need to agree on free speech. People need to agree on the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and equality and fairness and all of the fights that have been fought over the centuries and decades for people to now have the freedoms that they do. People shouldn't be complacent with that. People need to remember that that is unique. That's not something that's in every part of the world. And that's one of the things that makes America awesome. So people need to be able to put aside some of their disagreements and just elevate it up to another level and remember what you guys all have in common. And I think that would greatly help to heal the division and the polarization. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And it doesn't feel easy for people on either side because both sides kind of say the same thing. You know, that side is trying to tear the country apart. You know, I may fall more on one side than the other, but that's just how people feel. So, yeah, like I said, I think now's the time for some strong leadership, and I think that I would love to see Trump use this opportunity to, like I said, take the wind out of the sails of the people who are, hyper aggressive on him, and that includes the media, rather than just always fighting the fire with the fire. Just be presidential and unite people and do something that people can't even criticize, essentially. Okay, what I'm going to do, there's a whole lot of questions here. And so I'm going to get back to, all right, man, there's a lot of questions. Okay, I might need to hire someone next time to be a moderator or something. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, over 250 people watching. Thank you very much. This is my first live stream doing it like this. If you're just joining, you are welcome. If you want to ask a question, I'll be opening it up I'll be going through some more questions later on. If you want to drop a super chat, if you want to support myself and my work in the channel, you are welcome to drop a super chat. I will definitely get to you if you do and give you a shout out, but there is no obligation. Happy to have you here. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about 2020. Where do I even begin with 2020? I think we need to cancel 2020. If something is going to get canceled this year, I think it needs to be the year itself, because this place is ridiculous. This year has just been crazy. It's been crazy. It seems like Kobe Bryant dying was the first domino. Am I the only one who noticed that, right? Like Kobe Bryant went, and it's like stuff just went to crap after Kobe went, either him or Soleimani, but I'd like to think it was Kobe. It just seems like since then, man, we had the pandemic, we had George Floyd, I feel like I'm even missing something. Like we skipped the murder hornets. We were supposed to get the murder hornets, weren't we? But those didn't happen. we got the protests, then we got the rioting and the looting and the fighting and the Black Lives Matter, and now people are pulling down statues, and Aunt Jemima is canceled, and everyone is canceled. People, it's it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But I think it all kicked off because of this pandemic. Now, if you follow me, you probably know that I was a little bit oh wow, okay, I'm gonna jump in, but we got two super chats. Shout out to Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. I can't say I agree with what you've written though. You said decrease the human population and the planet benefits. I'm no fan of decreasing the human population. I think we need more people, not less. We need more people, more brains, and that's how we solve problems. We don't want to take the Thanos route. We don't want to take the Thanos route. Like I get where he was coming from, but not the right approach. We need more people. Go make more babies. Go make more babies. We need more babies. There's another super chat here from Agent EE. If you were to ever vandalize a statue, which one would you go for first? If I were to vandalize a statue, which one would I go for first? Wow. I think I'd go for like probably Karl Marx. Probably Karl Marx. Yeah, definitely. Actually, yeah. I'd vandalize Karl Marx because his rancid ideologies are behind a lot of the nonsense that we now have to deal with in the world. The next question is, do you foresee an end of these woke times? I do. I am hopeful. I am optimistic. I've become a bit more of a warrior in the fight than I wanted to be. But sometimes the world calls you in to do something, and you've gotta go do it. Okay, another super chat. Edmundo 2. Thank you so much for the super chats, guys. I appreciate it, man. Any chance you might do a future video with Dave Smith? You guys are both really smart and super underrated on YouTube right now. Dave Smith, that's the comedian, I believe. Yeah, I think so. I'd love to get him on my podcast. Maybe he can come on mine. Yeah, he can come on mine. I can go on his. Whatever. Like I'm down to do collaborations. I'm very, very open minded. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Oh, we got one more. Okay, Veronica Corningstone sent £1.99. BLM as an organization, what does it mean to you? See, so BLM is as an organization. See, they're really true. They're really clever because it means I have to give this caveat every time I discuss them, because everybody reasonable, everybody, of course, myself. I'm a chocolate skinned brother myself. All black people, all decent people already know that Black Lives Matter. This is not a debatable point. However, Black Lives Matter, capital first letters, the organization is, man, I'm not aligned with their goals, right? Beyond like the obvious fraction of it, which is opposing police brutality, which again, everybody disagrees with. Everybody agrees that police brutality is a bad thing, and most people aren't really trying to increase the suffering of any group, let alone black people. But just simply go on their website, go to blacklivesmatter.com, see what they stand for, and you will see that this is, the organization is two of the three founders are very, very open Marxists. And if you know much about Marxism and the amount of people that ideology has destroyed, then it's not hard to understand why I'm not a fan of it. If you want to just take three of their obvious goals, which I have a massive problem with, one of them is the disruption of the nuclear family, the Western prescribed nuclear family, I believe they describe it as. I think that's a massive problem. I think the family is the very basis of humanity. And certainly, I think, look, at a time, especially looking at like I'm from the UK, but especially looking at Black America, one of the biggest problems is the disruption of the family. So the fact that you have an organization calling themselves Black Lives Matter, where on one of their written goals is to disrupt the nuclear family, that's a problem, man. Another one of their goals is to defund and ultimately abolish the police. Who is that going to hurt? Right? Who is that going to hurt? That's not going to hurt the rich people who live in gated communities or people who can afford private security details and stuff like that. It's going to hurt the communities who need it the most. It's just a stupid position. It's a dumb position. If you want to abolish the police force, then that's crazy talk. That doesn't mean you support. If you don't want to abolish the police force, that doesn't mean that you oppose police reform or you think that everything the police do is perfect. No, that's idiotic. And also, I saw this on the BLM UK fundraiser, which I think has now raised over £1 million. One of their goals on there is to overthrow capitalism, dismantle capitalism. Again, just this is just crazy talk, right? This is like a Marxist communist agenda that you've just given a good name that no one can disagree with, so that when someone says that they don't support BLM, you can call them a racist. And I see through this bullcrap. I've seen through it for many, many years. And if the organization were called anything else, it would be a lot easier to just openly criticize it. But they've kind of shielded themselves behind some nice words, and unfortunately, it works. So I'll give them a thumbs up for branding. But yeah, I think it's very disingenuous. So that's my personal, more nuanced take on it. I see someone else has dropped a super chat in there. Another one from Edmundo. Who runs BLM? Where does the money go? Okay, so if you want to see who, just go on their website, blacklivesmatter.com. You can see who the founders are. It's now split up into lots of different chapters, so it's a bit more complicated than just the 3 women who started it. But in terms of where the money goes, I know that if you donate to them, it takes you to actblue.com, which is a website which normally raises money for some of the Democratic candidates in the U.S. and stuff like that. And where does all the money go? So it's a good question. Very, very good question. I saw that they did something on Reddit where people were actually asking them that question. Where does the money go? And they didn't want to answer it. So for anyone who thinks that this is some like lovely, clear-cut, honest organization, then simply please just do some research on it. I'm not going to, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I've had many discussions around this, even with people I know, et cetera, because they don't know why I'm so critical of this particular organization. But yeah, besides the statement of the actual name, right? Black Lives Matter. Like I said, everybody agrees with that. Of course, I agree with that. Like, yes, I believe my life matters. My family members' lives matter. All of my black brothers and sisters and friends and people around the world, everybody, and then people get bogged down in the Black Lives Matter versus all life. Like nobody disagrees with either of these statements. And another reason I don't like it is because the whole thing's just divisive. It's like people are getting caught up in the semantics. Look, there are 2 things everybody decent agrees on. Racism is bad and police brutality is bad. I've never come across anyone on any side of the political spectrum who is, okay, maybe I've come across a few racist people, but generally, 100% of decent people can agree on those 2 things. Police brutality, bad. Racism, bad. So getting caught up in the weeds of whether it's Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, like, again, anyone decent already agrees on both of those statements. And this is why this is the stuff that makes me feel there are certain things that happen that make me sort of feel like lose hope for humanity. And it's stuff like that. It's like, look, we've got these 2 things which people actually want to address. Instead, we're getting caught up in the weeds of whether it's Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. And this is why we just can't have nice things, guys. One more super chat from Veronica. She sends $4.99. Thank you very much, Veronica. Big up for the trans weightlifting challenge. I'm still cracking up. That's going to go down in history. I think I'm going to have to forever be known as the British women's deadlift record holder, unless someone wants to take the title from me. But I think unless they have high testosterone levels and testicles and perhaps a beard, it's probably going to be a little bit difficult for them to beat me. But what can I say? I'm a special woman. Special woman. So, yeah, I've already actually ended up, because of these questions, I've actually already ended up talking about a few of the things that I was going to. But, excuse me. One thing that's really come to light over the past couple of weeks, though, is just how ridiculous oh, wow, we got over 300 people tuned in. Thank you very much, guys, for our very first live stream. That's awesome. And in my mind, I was like, it'll be cool if 100 people tune in. So to have over 300 people tuning in, that's dope. I appreciate it. Thank you. What was I going to say? Yeah. So regarding the whole pandemic situation, I'll be honest. I'm not going to be PC here. This is my own live stream. I'm over this thing. Like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm bored. I'm tired of this. I'm just like, look, open the gyms. Let us go to church. Like, let's just get stuff. Let's get stuff back to normal. Here in the UK, all of the gyms are still closed. All of the bars are closed. All the venues are still closed. Music venues are closed. It's, like some of the shops have just started opening last week, but stuff is still closed. I can't go to the gym. And For me, the sort of very, very, very final straw on all of this, like I've been over this thing for 2 months, but what really was the straw was when the media and politicians essentially said you can go out and you can have thousands of people out on the streets protesting, demonstrating, etc., and that's somehow okay. But if I go to the gym, I'm killing grandma, right? That's just a mockery. In the UK, they had that whole thing with this Dominic Cummings guy. People were trying to rake this guy over the coals because he went and he visited a family member up in Durham or something, thus breaking the lockdown rules. And then the same people who were roasting them a couple of weeks later, 2 weeks later, literally, they're encouraging people to go out and protest by the thousands. And that's just a mockery because if the virus is real, right? Viruses don't have politics, right? The virus doesn't care if you are out there for a good cause or a silly cause or no cause or whatever, right? If you've got thousands of people gathered together, a virus doesn't care. So either the virus is a massive problem and we need to be super duper cautious and social distance and wear masks and all of that, or not, right? It can't be both. It can't be if I go to the gym and do a squat, I'm killing your grandma. But if I go and join a protest in London with 5,000 other people, then that's safe. Like, it doesn't make sense, and it's actually just a mockery of our own intelligence and ability to think. So I'm just over it. I'm done. Open the gyms. Let me go to church. Let me train. Let me travel. I'm gonna go to the U.S. Just let me live my life. And that's my current position. So, okay, we got another super chat. So this is from Owen Casey. He said, he's super chatted £4.99. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. It says, let's see, let me read this. It says, man like Zuby, met you a few times in Derby, only just started following you on Twitter, and got to say that you are the realest for sure. BBK for life. That's funny, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. And good to meet you in Derby as well. Yeah, if you ever see me in person. This goes out to everybody, all of my fans, all of my supporters. If you ever see me in public, whether it's in the UK, USA, or whatever, say hello. Say hello. Like, I like meeting my fans. I'm not one of these people who like is super distant or whatever. Like, come say hi. Like, we'll chat and just be cool. I've had people do really weird things, like where they pull out their phone and they sort of like secretly take a picture of you and they don't think you'll notice, and then like they might upload it to social media later or whatever. Sometimes they'll even message me and say, hey, I saw you, and it's like a picture. I'm like, that's weird. Like, just say hi. Like, you can like, I'm cool. Like, you can just say hi. Yeah, and yeah, big up to you, Owen. Thank you for the super chat. We got another one there. This is from David Wells. He sent $5. Thank you very much. He's asking, did you ever reach out to Jordan Peterson for a podcast? Would be awesome to the two of you. I know he's been through some tough times recently. I haven't yet, and this is because he's still off the radar. He's still recovering. I did speak to Michaela not long ago, and that's his daughter. And yeah, he's still recovering. He's getting better, which is good. You know, God bless that man. I'm a big fan of him, and I hope he fully recovers. But yeah, when he's back on his feet, when he's healthy, when he's available to do stuff again, then I will definitely reach out. I would love to have a conversation with him. I think it would be super duper interesting. And yeah, I think a lot of people would tune into that too. So yeah, God bless Jordan Peterson, man. That guy's done a lot of good in the world. And there aren't a lot of people who I don't really sort of personally know, but who I sort of very strongly defend. But he's one of them, because look, there are a lot of people in the world making the world a crappier place. It's a lot of people making the world a worse place. And he's made it a better place for millions of people. He's quite literally helped and inspired millions of people, whether you like him, dislike him, whatever. You don't have to agree with someone 100% on absolutely everything to like them. Hopefully that's obvious. But you cannot, there's no question that his book, his videos, his lecture tours, etc., have helped a lot of people, including myself. I bought 12 Rules for Life. I started listening to Jordan Peterson early, like 2016, when stuff started blowing up around the Bill 616 thing in Canada. Before he was on, I listened to all of his Rogan interviews after that, when his appearances on the Rubin Report, all that. I really saw his rise. So that was really dope to see and inspiring. I took a lot of inspiration from that. And yeah, I've learned a lot in terms of the way that I think and the way that I process things and just some of my understanding of certain things about human psychology and history, etc. A lot of that I've learned from him. So yeah, I wish him all the best, and hopefully we will have a conversation in the future. Maybe we can live stream it and you guys can tune in. Okay, so before we get on to talking about the cancellation of everything in the world, I am going to read. I'm going to go through some of the questions here. It's a little bit tricky. I've tried to get through the super chats. So let me see what I may have missed. Oh, awesome. Someone said, hey, Zuby, I met you in Southampton a few years ago. Listening now on my Zuby headphones. They're still great. That's awesome. That is super awesome. Oh, that's cool. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay, nice. I didn't know that I could click on the comments and they show up on the screen. But that is really, really cool. Let's see. Ginger Rob. Candace Owens, U.S. President, 2024. Discuss. I think she'd need to rein it in a little bit. Like, I like Candace. I've met Candace. I've been on her show before. She can be too aggressive and too partisan. She can be too aggressive and too partisan. That's my kind of main criticism. I know that's her base. I know that's her thing. We kind of have different ways of operating. But again, if you wanted to sort of heal the divide rather than just do the fire with fire and always raising the temperature thing in America, then that sort of needs to be reined in. You need someone with the ability to talk to both sides, even if one side may agree with them a little bit more in general. But with her, she's like super, not just pro-right, but super anti-left, like aggressive, like quite aggressively anti-left. And yeah, you know, she's still young. I think she's still in her 20s, so maybe she'll mellow out a little bit. But that's my thought. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, that's a nice comment from Mary. I just became aware of you. So glad I found you. Thank you, Mary. I'm glad you found me too. DB's asking, when can we find another powerlifting record? Oh boy, I need to get back in the gym first. We have got a super chat. Alrighty. Let's see. Let me see if I can bring this one on screen. There we go. This is a super chat. 25 New Zealand dollars. This is from Loyal to No One. That's a good username. Is it a good username? I think you should be loyal to somebody. Hi, Zuby. Would you ever considering New Zealand for a debate or seminar post-COVID? I've never been to New Zealand. I'd happily go to New Zealand. If anyone wants to invite me to New Zealand to do like a music concert or a speech or something or a tour, I am down. I will be out there. And yeah, thank you for the super chat. That's really kind, really generous of you. If you're just tuning in, like I say, still got over 300 people. If you're tuning in, then yeah, the super chats are always welcome. No obligation to do them, but it is love. I appreciate every single person who supports me. Okay, I'm going to find another couple. Let's find another couple questions here. I'm trying to read through these all here. Someone asked me if my cough was corona. No, I do not have the coronavirus as far as I know. Someone's saying the gyms in the UK are opening beginning of July. That's cool, but they should just open now. They should open like after the stream is finished, they should just open the gyms, because there's no difference between now and July. Like that 2 weeks they want to wait. There's nothing's happening in that 2 weeks apart from I'm losing my gains. So let me get back in the gym. Let me squat. Let me deadlift. Let me bench press. I want to overhead press. It's important. All right, we got another super chat. Let's bring this one up on the screen. This is from Gregonator. With the gyms closed here, wow. Man, the gyms are closed. I take it you're from Canada, $6.99 Canadian. With the gyms closed, at least here until September, I've had to buy my own weights and get back in shape. It's so crazy. Man, at least you're able to buy weights. It's been really hard to actually buy weights. They've been sold out everywhere, sold out on Amazon, etc. But good for you for staying on it. You got to just stay with it, man. You know, this is the longest I've been without going to the gym since I started training. I haven't been to the gym now for I think about 13 weeks or something. Like I'm still jacked. I'm still got my gains, you know. Still got it. I think I gained like 1 kilo But yeah, no, I'm still jacked. I'm all right. But yeah, I need to get back into it. It's not just physiological, it's also the psychological aspect. And like I said, I think everything has been so exacerbated because people just haven't been doing anything. People have been on house arrest, locked in their houses, not able to train, not able to see their friends, see their families, go to the pub, go to the bar, go to music events, comedy, just the normal stuff that keeps us human. All of that stuff is so important. And I think that throughout this whole lockdown, the people in power, I don't know, the experts, the media, the government, like people have just overlooked this whole aspect of human well-being that goes beyond whether or not you have a virus, right? You have the economic aspect, the financial aspect, being able to actually look after yourself and look after your family. And you've also got just having a life that's enjoyable, having a life that's worth living, right? If we were just going to sit in our houses and our basements like rats and not be able to see, I mean, even rats get to see their families, man, just isolated and by ourselves, and we can't do this and we can't do that. Like, you can do that for a short period. This is what I said, it's like, you can do that for a short period. You can go, okay, we're going to lock down 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. People can cope with that. But just this thing of just moving the goalpost, it's first, remember it used to be flat in the curve. Right? No one says that anymore, right? It was flat in the curve. We're going to lock down so we flatten the curve and then we can get stuff back to normal. But nope, it went from flat in the curve to, no, we're just going to extend it. Now it's like we're going to lock down until there's a vaccine. We're going to lock down until nobody ever dies ever again. It's just, it's not tenable. And I think people are realizing this. The dominoes are starting to fall. Things are opening up. I know in some places, in some states in the US, for example, stuff is just open already. Big up to those states. I think they're doing the right thing. But here in the UK, it's all just slow. It just feels like they're dragging their heels. It's all very political. And I'm over it. I want to live my life. I want to do some shows. I want to see my fans. I want to travel. And I want to bench press. We must bench press. Okay, we got another super chat. All right, who's this one coming from? Oh, nice one. Thank you very much, brother. This is, there's no comment here. This is from, let me pronounce this properly. Ambi Nwoke Abia. Is that Nigerian? There's no message there, but thank you. $20 super chat. I greatly appreciate that. I feel like I didn't even say that name right, but I should know. I haven't seen that surname before though. But thank you very much, Ambi. I appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. So what I want to do is the next thing I want to talk about, because I think it's kind of funny, is is these cancellations that have been going on. So, oh man, I saw this coming. This is the thing. I see this coming. I'm too deep in this stuff because I see this stuff coming of when people just become emotionally incontinent and people just get angry at stuff and everyone's just hypersensitive about everything. And it leads to stupid decisions like Aunt Jemima being canceled. Can you guys believe Aunt Jemima? So anyone who's not familiar, Aunt Jemima is a brand in the US. They make like pancake mix, pancake syrup, maybe like waffle mix and stuff. And it's got like a smiley black woman as the mascot, right? If you go way back decades ago, it used to be kind of like what do they call them? Like a sort of mammy kind of figure. She had the headscarf, and she was a lot more plump, and it was a bit of a stereotype. It was a bit more derogatory if you go back sort of 80 years ago. But my whole lifetime, that hasn't been the brand. They changed the brand. They realized that was insensitive, and it's just literally just a smiling, happy-looking middle-aged black woman, essentially. And apparently, I don't know how, but apparently that's racist. That's culturally insensitive, as decided by 8 people on Twitter. So now we can't have Aunt Jemima anymore. Not only that, but I said this. I said it. I said it at the time. I said they're going to come for Uncle Ben next. Who did they come for next? Uncle Ben's rice. Uncle Ben, right? It's crazy. People talk about we need more black representation. And then the black representation that exists, you want to cancel them too. I don't understand it. There's no black person in the world who found Uncle Ben offensive. Why would you? There's no reason, there's no logic that anyone would even find that offensive. No one. If anything, it's like a positive association, right? People, it's, I don't know. This is the thing dealing with these weird woke cult people, is that you're not operating, it doesn't operate on logic. It does not operate on logic at all. It's just emotional nonsense. And worse than that is it's such a minority of people, and companies and individuals always give in to them. I don't know why. Just tell them to buzz off. Like if I own the Uncle Ben's brand and I get like 5 messages on social media saying, "Hey, Uncle Ben is offensive. I don't like this." I'm not even going to reply. Why would I even dignify that with a reply? If I reply, I will tell them to buzz off. Go away. Go away. Go get a life. Go attack the next brand. Go scream it. Go scream at Kellogg's. Go scream at crap. I don't know. Just stop giving in to these people, man. Stop giving in to these people, because there's no finish line. There's literally no finish line. You're seeing people tearing down the statues, right? They started out with the Confederate statues, the ones that are a little bit more debatable. Personally, I think that unless like democratically a large group of people in the local area wants to get rid of a statue, I don't think you should get rid of statues generally, right? I think history is important. You can have the context, you can have the conversations, etc. The idea that you're just going to remove everything from the past that doesn't meet today's standards, to me, again, it is crazy. It's not logical. It's not rational. If you've got something that's particularly egregious, and again, like I said, democratically, people are like, we don't like this one. Sure. Don't just like get a mob out and pull it down. Just, talk to the authorities, get it sorted, do a petition, whatever, and it can be brought down. But this is the thing. There's no endpoint. So they started with the Confederate statues. Now they're tearing down, they started with the Confederates. Then they went to Christopher Columbus. Now they're pulling down Thomas Jefferson. They're pulling down George Washington, etc., as if those guys are known because they happen to be slaveholders. That's not when someone thinks of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, that is not the reason why people consider those men to be important historical figures. It's not because they happened to own slaves at a time where that was unfortunately just a thing. Look, we know the evils of slavery. It was an institution that happened all around the world for thousands of years, and it was evil. It was egregious. It was horrible. We never want to ever do this again. And we all agree on that. And the idea that having a George Washington statue or a Thomas Jefferson statue means that you are celebrating the worst thing that they happen to do or happen to believe in at a time which was very different to when we live in, like that's just crazy. That's crazy. Like I can assure you, in 200 years from now, none of us are going to live up to whatever is considered the moral standard of the year 2220. We're just not. Stuff is going to be different. Maybe like by then they've totally outlawed factory farming, right? And animal slaughter is no longer a thing, and they grow the meat in labs, or they have some way of doing it, or whatever, or everyone's just vegan. I don't know. I don't think that's too far-fetched. Imagine that, and any great person from the past century, from our current time, they just want to cancel all of them because you know what? That person happened to be that person ate meat. That person ate an egg that came from a chicken in a barn, right? So they're canceled. And it sounds ridiculous, but everything sounds ridiculous until it happened. If I told you guys, when I told people 5 years ago that you would have biological men competing against biological women in sports and it would be a thing, if I told you guys 3 years ago that I would be the British women's deadlift record holder, you would have told me that I was insane. But stuff always sounds crazy until it happens, because some people just have no chill. And any social justice movement without a finish line is bound to end up becoming what it seeks to oppose. This is why you're now getting racist anti-racists. This is why you're now getting feminists who hate men. This is why you're now getting people who are supposed to be pro-black, but they're anti-white. This is why, it overcorrects. It overcorrects. You need to just have a finish line, and a good finish line is equality. Okay, we got another super chat. This one has come through from Kochka23. Would you ever consider having a perspective discussion panel with Young Ripper 59, Tim Pool, and Stephen Crowder? Ooh, the world would explode. Those are Those are some people with some great perspectives. So I've been on Steven Crowder's show. I've also had Eric July, that's Young Rip at 59. He's actually been on my podcast, Real Talk with Zuby. That episode, for some reason, is only on YouTube. I will do another episode with him in the future, but if you search Zuby Eric July, then you can find that conversation. I also met with him when I was in Dallas last year. Eric is a good dude, super smart. I think one of the best thinkers out there. He's an anarcho-capitalist, super libertarian. He's got a lot of interesting perspectives, and he's very consistent, very, very consistent. So yeah, big up to him. Tim Pool, I haven't worked with him yet, but yeah, we all know each other. We all know who each other are. So maybe we can put that together sometime. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I think conversation is what's needed. You know, a lot of people ask me what can be done, and I think that, look, there's only 3 ways to solve any problem. You can talk, you can segregate, or you can fight. Okay, physically. Those are the only 3 ways you can solve any problem. It doesn't matter if you're talking about individuals, nations, countries, only 3 ways. So if we want to make the world better, we have to do it through our speech. This is why I'm such a big fan of free speech and free thought and being able to talk and freedom of association and all that. Because if that is dampened, then you only get the other 2 options. People split off into their little segregated societies and stop associating with each other, or we go to war, we fight, violence. And, you know, I'm not a fan. You know, willing to protect myself and those around me if I absolutely have to, and it's, you know, life calls for it. But yeah, that's not something that we should strive for as a society. So yeah, that's why I have an issue with people trying to limit freedom of speech. It's why I have an issue with deplatforming, why I have an issue with people constantly raising the temperature and just yelling and getting angry at each other, etc. It's not constructive, and it's not conducive to a long-term healthy society. So that's my thoughts on that. We've just got another super chat here, and this one has come through from Anthony. Thank you very much, Anthony. $5. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. His question: are musicians becoming more radical? Trying to talk to my peers is impossible. Every post speech I remotely question is met with hostility. Man, so I take it you are a musician. And that's interesting because, you know, of course, I'm a musician myself, and I know exactly what you deal with. For those who don't know, the music industry, the whole entertainment industry is super duper left-leaning. I don't even really want to say it's liberal, because left and liberal kind of mean different things to me. If you're liberal, you should be able to talk and agree to disagree and embrace the concept of diversity of thought and tolerance of different opinions, etc. But in this world, as you're seeing from Anthony's comment here and a lot of my experiences, these are some of the most illiberal places. I'm sure you've heard about Hollywood and stuff like that. Why do you think how is it that every single celebrity has the exact same view on everything? Like, do you think that's real? Of course that's not real. Right? It's just because they're forced to play this role. It doesn't make sense. How can every celebrity in the US be a Democrat? How can they all be anti-Trump? How can every celebrity in the UK be anti-Brexit and pro-Labour? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And, you know, a lot of people are just fake. People just want to go along with what they think is the, you know, people care more about appearing to be good people than actually being good people. And it leads to this sort of groupthink and sheep mentality where people just go along with the cause du jour, right? Like the cause of the day, and just whatever they think is going to get them those points. And social media makes it worse because they get the clicks and there's hashtags, etc. So do I think musicians are becoming more radical? I think it's a sort of side effect. I think that people are feeling forced to pick a side, right? So many people are feeling forced to pick a side. And I don't even like to use the terms the left and the right too much, because that sort of plays into the division. But to use those terms, what a lot of people on the left side of the spectrum have done over the course of many decades is that they've sort of painted and branded people more on the right side of the spectrum, conservatives, libertarians, etc. They've sort of branded them as evil or racist or bigoted or all of these things, right? That's why they just throw these terms at you. You're racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Even with no evidence whatsoever, they'll just throw these labels at you. And people don't like that. You know, most people aren't racist, right? Most people aren't, and most people don't want to have any associations to that. So in a world like music where it's heavily one way, it's a lot easier to just kind of go along with the trend, even if it's not really stuff you believe in, and not get attacked and just not rock the boat, etc. But I think people across the board should just be, I think people should be open and be honest and be authentic. Look, I understand in the short term it may seem more difficult to sort of speak up or hold on to your values or your beliefs, etc., or express things. And you don't need to express all your thoughts and opinions all the time, right? There's more to the world than politics and religion. You don't need to constantly be sharing your politics out there and doing that. I mean, if that's the way you're inclined, I certainly don't think you should be punished for it, but you don't have to do it. But you should be able to. That's kind of my point. It's like you should be able to. You shouldn't have to fear. I did speak to a musician the other day who had a gig canceled because what happened? This is I'm not going to give her name, but this is a singer in the U.S. and she had a show booked in New York, and her show got canceled because someone saw something that she liked on social media, or someone that she followed on social media who they disagreed with. So they somehow decided that she was like some horrible person, and they contacted the venue and whatever. And again, the venue, like these companies are so cowardly. Like I said, they just tell people to go away, just tell people to buzz off. But no, they caved. They canceled the gig. They refunded all the tickets, etc. And so, you know, like this artist is she's a sweetheart. She's lovely. She's she's even a liberal. That's the funniest part. Like, but there's just no tolerance, and that's silly. And I can understand why people are afraid of that. But people need to remember that it's going to get worse if people don't stand up to it. Because most people are reasonable, most people are sensible, but people just don't want to. Most people are busy, you know. They don't want to dive into this stuff. They don't want to, and oftentimes people don't care until it affects them. Right? That's the reality. People start caring when it affects them. So I want people to care before it affects them, right? If you see something going wrong with other people, friends, colleagues, coworkers, whatever it is, if you see someone being treated unfairly or being maligned or called names that they're not, you know, we got to stick up for people. We got to stick up for people. And you got to stick up for people you disagree with too, right? You got to stick up for people you disagree with. If you see something, you know, even if you don't support their particular view on a certain thing, they've got a right. You got to support their right to express it. People shouldn't be punished for that. I mean, we're supposed to live in a free society. This isn't the Soviet Union. This isn't Mao's China, right? We're supposed to have freedom of speech, freedom of discussion, etc. And like I said, when it comes to resolving things, if we're not able to speak, all we can do is separate or we can fight. And those latter two don't seem like wonderful solutions to me. You know, what do you think? Okay, what I'm going to do then, before I'm going to be wrapping up this live stream, I think, in about 10 minutes. It's coming up to an hour, which is pretty good. So I'm going to just have a quick look, see if I have missed any super interesting questions here. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I think we peaked at about 350 listeners. So that's awesome. I see that my mom is watching the live stream. Much love. Let's see what we got here. Oh, wow. Okay. No, I haven't seen this. So someone commented here. This is interesting. Anyone seen that tweet of a black-white married couple who are 30 years of marriage, whose 30 years of marriage is in jeopardy because of Robin DiAngelo's book? Wow. That's crazy. See, this is the problem with all this stuff. I really hate these racial politics thing. And Robin DiAngelo is this weird. She's this weird. I don't even know what's her official role. I don't know. She's like a professional race baiter. She's one of these racial theory, like feminist types or something. And she's just got all these thoughts on like whiteness and blackness and all this kind of stuff. And all of this stuff is very divisive. You know, it's so backwards. I just think it's crazy that people call it progressive, but it's backwards. You know, I mean, look at this comment here. I don't know all the details, but the idea that a 30-year marriage is now in jeopardy because one of the members of a couple read a book and they now think that they can't be in an interracial relationship or something. Like, how's that forward thinking? How's that progressive? Like, that's nonsense, man. You know, like these are the same people who will tell you that love is love. This is the problem. There's no consistency to what people like this say. They say one thing and then they just do the opposite. It's just whatever is expedient. They'll say, don't judge people based on their skin color. right? Don't judge people based on their sexuality. Don't judge people based on their gender. And then they just go and do all of these things all of the time when it's expedient to them, right? They'll say that, and then they'll have a problem with an interracial relationship, right? They'll say that you're supporting white supremacy if you're in an you're just like, what? They just come out with this stuff, right? And it's just so weird. And I don't know. I just it's disheartening. It's disheartening. I don't like what I don't like is that it's spreading. That's the problem. The problem is that it's spreading, right? A lot of these ideas used to just be restricted to universities, certain liberal arts universities, where they had these weird ideas, gender studies, race studies, critical theory, all of these weird subjects. And it used to be just limited there. And now it's just spreading out everywhere. It's like spilling out into the world and just poisoning people, man. Poisoning people. And it's not good. It literally makes people more racist, right? If you're forcing people to just see through these lenses of black and white literally all the time, that's not good. That's not good. That's not healthy, right? We've sort of moved past this generally as a society, and you've got 20% of the population who just can't get over it and are just fixated on these random immutable characteristics, right? I don't know. I think there are a lot of things that are, sure, I'm a straight black male, but I think there are a lot of things that are a lot more interesting about me than those 3 immutable characteristics, which just by dint of birth, I happen to be. There are other things that I do and I'm capable of that I'm more proud of than those things. I'm totally comfortable in my own skin, never had a day where I'm not. But just to reduce people to that, it's dehumanizing. To use their own terms, right? It's dehumanizing. Right? Just see people as these little box to tick off, it's not, I don't know. It's not cool. And I don't like feeling like I'm being used as a pawn in some kind of political chess game either. So, yeah, that's kind of crazy. We got another super chat here. This one's come through from Mazamonti, £10. Thank you so much. Let's see. Sorry to say I had to look up who you are. Stumbled on you by chance. I'm impressed by your sensible, calm speech. Was starting to fear what's coming. You've calmed me so much. So thank you so much, subbed. Thank you so much, Maza. That's awesome. That's lovely. Comments like that are what keeps me going, man. That's really what keeps me going. Just knowing that, I don't know. I think I'm a calm, reasonable person. I think I'm fair. I think I'm fairly centered and fairly reasonable. So if I can give people some hope or some inspiration through stuff like this, or my music, or my podcasts, my book, whatever it is, then I'm grateful to. I'm very, very grateful to. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to check a couple more questions and see if there is anything super interesting. Someone defund college. It's not a bad idea, man. Honestly, stop sending your kids to read nonsense degrees. If they're going to go to college, make sure they study something good. Anything ending in studies, that's how you know. Anything that ends in studies, don't do it. Anything that ends in studies, don't do it. That's a sign that it's ideological. It's not actually scientific or logical. It's ideological. Someone asked me, what do I think of Chaz? Firstly, I think it's now known as CHOP. And if I'm correct, I think they changed. So it was the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, Chaz, but I think they changed it to CHOP now. So it's Capitol Hill Organized Protest. So this is the 6 blocks of Seattle where it's been taken over by anarchists, and they've sort of declared their own country there, and they're running their own stuff. I saw 2 people got shot there the other day. One of them died. That's not good. What do I think of it? I just feel like I'm living in a South Park episode right now, man. I honestly, the world is just, not the whole world, right? It's mainly the West. It's mainly the Anglosphere. I don't know why. I don't know why us English speakers can't just chill. But it's funny in a sense, but it's also ridiculous. And I don't know, it just amazes me that the authorities are just letting this happen. It's kind of like, I don't know, if you're familiar with little kids, it's like having a bunch of little kids just throwing a temper tantrum. And instead of telling them to just stop and chill, you're just allowing them. You're just leaving them there to beat each other and throw their toys around and pee on the floor and just destroy everything. And you just abstain from allowing any authority in there. That's kind of what it feels like is going on just in general, whether you're talking about Chaz or the tearing down of statues or just the cancellation of everything. It's like you just need an adult to enter the room and be like, stop, just chill, right? This is the problem now is people are giving in too much to emotions over rationality. And emotion is important at certain times, but not when it totally supersedes being reasonable and being rational. Just because you're angry, right? Just because you're upset doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, right? That's not how the world works. Certainly not how the legal system works, right? If you ever get in trouble, if you ever commit a crime, then telling the judge that you were angry, I don't think it's gonna work. Don't think it's gonna work. If you burn down a property and you say, yeah, but I was angry. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna fly in court. I don't think the jury cares. So that's my thought on that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to 3 more questions. I want to say once again, guys, thank you for the super chats. This has been super generous, man. Super generous. I really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed the live stream, let me know. Leave a comment if you've enjoyed the live stream, and maybe I can do this once a week or something like that. I've enjoyed it. I think it's fun, and there's new stuff happening every week, so I don't think we're going to run out of things to talk about. I'm going to see if I can get to 3 more questions. Let's see. Okay, this is interesting. This is from Brandon. I think it would be more helpful if you could talk with organizations or leaders on the left. Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm happy to speak to anybody. I will literally talk to anybody who is willing to have a conversation. And it's quite hard to have conversations. Like I said, with people, I don't even want to say people on the left, but there's just less tolerance there. If you're seeing where a lot of the conversations are happening, it kind of tends to be like in the center and in the right. And because some people don't even want to have the conversation because they think that there's this weird sort of guilt by association thing. So if they talk to that person, who talked to that person, who talked to that person, then you're now complicit in this whole thing. So they kind of filter themselves out. But I'm open to talk to anyone. Who have I spoken to prominent there? I spoke to I was on. If you guys know, if you're in the UK, you might know George Galloway. He's he's a socialist pretty much. I was on his show a couple months back. But even when it comes to the more left leaning media, they just kind of, if you don't go by their narrative, they just don't invite you, right? They don't invite you, and you can't invite yourself onto everything. In terms of my own podcast, there's certainly, I'm open to having conversations with anybody. If there are certain people who you think I should reach out to, you've got some recommendations, I am happy to. I don't want my podcast to be like one ideological echo chamber or anything like that. I spoke again to my friend Megan Murphy recently. She's actually runs the biggest feminist website in Canada. You guys know I have my criticisms of feminism, but yeah, she's cool, and she's actually become a lot more red-pilled on a lot of these issues over the past year, because she herself has been seeing how crazy it's going, and she's been mistreated by a lot of people supposedly on her own side, etc. So she herself is kind of just experiencing all of this for the first time. But yeah, I'm happy to talk over the aisle. I'm not like some super duper one way guy or whatever. I think that there are valuable things to speak about, and valuable problems and solutions on both sides. And the importance of having both sides functioning well, this is something to think about, is because each side can see the other's blind spots. So if you've got someone who's very, very conservative, they'll have certain blind spots, certain things that they're just not aware of, or they're not really giving enough weight to or consideration to. And then you get the same if you get someone who's super liberal. They just have these blind spots, which to me are obvious, but they themselves sort of don't tend to see. So when you actually bring people together and you put all the ideas on the table, you can then work stuff out better, right? So if you refuse to talk, then you're only seeing part of the problem. Maybe you're only getting 60% of it rather than 100%. So that's actually why it's important to, as annoying as it can be sometimes, I know sometimes people who are more left-leaning don't like to talk to people who are more right-leaning, and vice versa. It can be frustrating. Someone's speaking a different language sometimes. But yeah, like I said, we got to talk, man. talk, segregate, or fight. Okay, I'm gonna do two more questions. Let's see what we got here. Two more questions. Okay, I'll answer this. Okay, someone asked, what is cancel culture? So cancel culture is, wow, how do you describe it? Cancel culture is a culture, something that happens in a society. It's not really a new phenomenon. It's basically the phenomenon of ostracizing people, right? So wanting to cancel, wanting to ostracize people from a community, a group, a society, etc., because either they've done something wrong or it's perceived they've done something wrong, or they've said, or it's perceived that they've said something wrong. So the idea that, so let's give a real world example. And this can extend to brands and companies too. It doesn't have to be individuals. So let's think of, what would be a good example of it right now? So in the US, last week, you had, okay, let me give two examples. In the US recently, you had this American football player, I think his name's Drew Brees, and he said something that he basically opposes people who kneel for the American flag during the anthem. And I think he said he can't respect someone who kneels for the American flag or someone who disrespects the flag. And people tried to cancel him, right? So they tried to make this out that he's somehow a racist or that he doesn't believe that Black Lives Matter, right? They played this silly game or whatever. So that was a sort of attempted cancellation of him. And, I don't know why he apologized. People always apologize, but I don't think he should have. What they're trying to do with J.K. Rowling right now. So she made a comment about people who menstruate being called women. Because there was an article that referred to people who menstruate, and she said something like, wait, I'm sure there's a word for that. Is it woman, something like that? And basically she believes that biological sex is a real thing, right? There are men and there are women, there are males and there are females, and these things kind of matter, we're different. And for this heresy, her own fan base and her own book publishers, etc., have turned on her. I saw her book publishers in the UK. They don't want to publish her book now because she believes biological sex is real, and she had the audacity and the temerity to say this in public. So that's an example of cancel culture, right? Trying to ostracize or get rid of people or block people because you think that they have done something wrong, right? If you go back more traditionally, perhaps cancel culture would have been more applied to like religion, certain religious sects, and you kind of want to ostracize or cast out somebody because they've blasphemed or they've sinned or they've done something that is against people's beliefs or culture, etc. So that is what cancel culture is, and it's something that is weird. It's very unforgiving, very, very unforgiving. Okay, I'm gonna get to one more question. Let's see what we got. One more question. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Someone said this chat is like my safe space. That's lovely. Okay. Yeah. So, someone gave a great example there. That's a great, yeah, that's actually a wonderful definition of cancel culture. Modern day excommunication without chance of redemption. There you go. So you are banished, you are gone, you are ostracized, you are a heretic, and you never, you can't come back. You can't come back. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I go, let me know if you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you want this to be a weekly thing. Just say yes or do a thumbs up or something in the comments. I assume you're already subscribed to my YouTube channel, but if you're not, definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel. Let's continue to grow this. And thank you very much for tuning in. I massively appreciate it. I think for our very first live stream, I think we've done pretty well. And we'll be doing more of these. I'll make sure I announce it again in the future. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate you guys always. You have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful week. God bless you and take care.